Good evening, and welcome to the Joint Town Council Planning Board public hearing here in the McKinnon Council Chambers on April 6, 2022 at 7:15 p.m. The first order of business is roll call. For the Town Council, Vice Chairman Adams, excused. Councilor Catrona, excused. Chairman Daniel, present. Councilor Dow.
Present.
Councilor Jovan, excused. Councilor Lazo, excused. Councilor Marchetti.
Present.
Councilor Ryan.
Present.
Councilor Steves.
Present.
For the Planning Board, Chairman Payer.
Present.
Vice Chairman Lowen.
Present.
Ms. Ackerley.
Present.
Ms. Belrose.
Present.
Ms. Hensel.
Present.
Ms. Paquin.
Present.
Very good. I now turn it over to Chairman Payer to read the public hearing notice.
In accordance with provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 5, Mass General Law, the Southbridge Town Council and the Southbridge Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 6, 2022 at 7:15 p.m. in the McKinnon Council Chambers, Southbridge Town Hall, 41 Elm Street, Southbridge, Mass. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comment and consider an amendment to the Southbridge zoning map as follows. Change the zoning of specified lots along East Main Street and Ashland Avenue from manufacturing to general business, as shown on the map entitled Proposed Zone Changes, Town of Southbridge, Massachusetts, and change the zoning of specified lots along Gulf Street from manufacturing to R2 residential and 40 North Woodstock Road, as well as lots on Kinsley Street from office research to R2 residential, as shown on the map entitled Proposed Zone Changes, Town of Southbridge, Massachusetts, and change the zoning of specified lots on Ashland Ave, Doherty Street, and North Woodstock Road from office research to manufacturing, as shown on a map entitled Proposed Zone Changes, Town of Southbridge, Massachusetts. A copy of the above named map showing the area proposed to be rezoned with specific lots may be inspected at the Town Clerk's office from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday, and 8 a.m. through 12 noon Friday. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. This notice is also published electronically on www.telegram.com and on www.mass.mypublicnotices.com. John Daniel, Southbridge Town Council. David Payer, Southbridge Planning Board.
Very good. Eric? Thank you.
Good evening, all. The Planning Board has received numerous requests from property owners over the last couple of years wishing to do zone changes. In addition, my office and the inspections office have also had several requests and several projects that have been put on hold because of the current zoning, specifically along East Main Street. And so the Planning Board undertook the following exercise to draft up this proposed zoning map change, including lots on East Main Street, Kingsley, Doughty, Ashland Avenue, and Gulf Street. So this is the existing zoning here on this map that's shown. As you can see, I'm going to try to draw on here. There are several parcels. Okay, this is, forgive me, it's nowhere near thick enough. There we go. Specifically here and here, which are currently zoned as office research, and they are surrounded essentially by R2 lots, as well as they are either vacant properties or they are currently, this one up here on North Woodstock is a single-family home. The proposed change is as follows. We were looking to do these lots along Gulf Street. I can draw again on here if you'd like. To propose to change those to R2, which fits along with their uses. this large red area here. The proposal is to change that to general business because the uses of these properties currently are mainly retail. There are some light industrial uses that actually the general retail zone will allow for them to continue. And in addition, we made changes in this area here from office research to manufacturing, simply because that is the area in town where manufacturing is currently happening. For example, Superior Cake is there, Hardline Heat Treating, and other businesses are in that vicinity, in addition to Mr. Piappi's construction yard, which is not allowed, it's currently zoned office research. However, construction yards are not allowed in office research, they are allowed in manufacturing. The other change is down here on Ashland Avenue. This property is owned by MBS, the McGilvery brothers. They are a manufacturer here in town, and they have been asking us for several years to zone their entire property as manufacturing for just continuation's sake, I suppose. So currently they are zoned as manufacturing for the first 300 feet, and then the rear of their property is zoned as residential. And so they are looking to do some expansion. However, they will keep a generous buffer between any residential properties as well. With that, I would...
The old subdivision.
That was done before. Those lots were done in 2018 with the massive zone change. It's incorrect on the current zoning map on this one here. These are R1 lots. So these lots here are currently zoned R1. This current zoning map actually used some old zoning data that we had, which has since been rectified and corrected. So I think with that, I can open up to questions if you like.
Very good. Does the panel have any questions?
Planning board doesn't have any questions. No.
Anyone from the panel? Are there any citizens that would like to address the panel? Please. Can you please come to the mic? Please identify yourself for the record.
Sure. Dolores Larochelle, 130 Briarwood Avenue.
Thank you.
My question originally was on Gulf Street. There was a Stanco tool and die, some sort of tool and die. It has since been changed over to a church now. My question during Planning and Development Subcommittee was, what happens if the church leaves? That's going to be a residential area. I would like to see that stay as it is, manufacturing, so that somebody can go back in there and do some, it's a small manufacturing building, but it's great for somebody starting out. Instead of wiping out all our manufacturing, I think it's a good idea to keep it there. That was
Thank
my
you.
recommendation.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rumsey?
So I spoke with the owners of the church property this afternoon, and as churches are allowed by site plan review in all zones, they were comfortable with the change. However, if this body decides to change it back or leave it as manufacturing, they were fine with that as well. My recommendation, just looking at the proposed map, would be potentially just to incorporate that and maybe these lots here on the eastern side of Gulf Street into the general commercial or general business zone. But I will leave that up to you all to discuss.
The lot size was small, wasn't it, Eric?
It's very small. Yes.
I think when we had our discussions with the planning board, when we went over and we looked at this property pretty closely, because of the lot size, it was a manufacturing for many years. It was. Now it's a church has purchased the property. If it goes back, now you're putting manufacturing back into basically the residential neighborhood, and I think it's a small parcel, but I think in the overall scheme, it just seemed that for the nature of the neighborhood, at this point was a time that had the opportunity to make the neighborhood as a residential neighborhood versus a business that was grandfathered, or, well, it was originally industrial zone in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So that's why the planning board looked at it that way.
Council Steves.
Yeah, question through you to, I guess, somebody on the planning board who can answer this. If we were to recommend doing that the way Ms. LaRochelle suggested, would you, first of all, would you end up changing the zone for the section here that looks like where the rail trail currently is? That section has been built there. Would that be linked into the red zone, the business zone? And if so, or would it otherwise end up being created as a what's the word I want? A spot zoning situation if we didn't change it?
We have to be careful not to do spot
I
zoning.
know, that's why I
We have
asked.
to be careful not to do spot zoning, so it would have to be a residential zone that we would say is not residential and would be either a manufacturing or some other feature that, on the possibility that it could go back that way, but we thought because of the lot size and the fact that there'd be restrictions for a manufacturer that they'd have to have buffers, and it would not be a practical lot to put any manufacturing in there on a present basis.
Yeah, it makes sense that way. Okay.
All set?
Yep, thanks.
Anyone else? I'm sorry, Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Question, church, they can go in any zoning, correct?
Correct.
So I think it makes sense to make all the property match together, not like one in the middle, different zoning. I think makes sense the way the planning board, they present it. Just, thank you.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. I would have to agree with Ms. LaRochelle. If this was a manufacturing, if this was a business that could handle manufacturing, if you change it now, then they could never come back in there. Whereas it's been commented on that a church can go anywhere. A church can go into a manufacturing zoned area as well. So I would actually agree that it should be just left as manufacturing, this area right here. Thank you.
Very good.
One thing is, the reason we looked at it also is you do have a bunch of small lots there. If it was left as manufacturing down through there, you have one side of Gulf Street that's all residential houses. You have residential on the side of both of the existing manufacturing facility. Someone could come in and actually purchase the lots on the whole side of where Stanco was, and now put a much larger manufacturing right in the middle of across the street from the residential neighborhood. So that's why we felt that it was important to protect the neighborhood and of the Gulf Street area.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any other citizens that would like to address the panel? Please. Please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Chardonnay Presbury-Cope. I reside at 59 Gulf Street, which is right here. So when we had bought the property, we had the intentions of building a building and stuff so that we could start an automotive shop. We're actually in the process of getting all the paperwork together, but with the zoning that you guys are proposing now is going to end up messing everything up. We were wondering if there was a way that this part of Gulf Street could be in with the general business so we can continue to do what we have been doing prior.
Can you just clarify?
That's all.
Councilor Steves.
Thank you. Just a clarification, ma'am. Actually, ma'am, this is a question for you. Ma'am, this is a question for you. Just want to clarify, you're on the north side of Gulf Street, correct?
Yeah, if you're coming down the hill, we're on the right-hand side.
Okay.
We're right behind Stebbins and Dunkin' Donuts, which is
Okay.
right here.
So basically, what you're asking then is to make the north side of Gulf Street be in the red zone on that map?
Yes, sir, the general business area.
Okay. And what did you say you were trying to do as a business?
We have we're starting a repair shop.
Oh, okay.
We've actually been working on vehicles and stuff,
Oh.
and we're in the process of getting everything situated to be able to continue doing that.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Councilor Marquetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just be quick, and that's why I think the other part should be left alone too, because I think we want to promote economic development in town, and to change these to residential, that to me stops economic development. So I'm pro-economic development. I think that section that they want to change is fine, and the other section I think we should leave as manufacturing. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councilor Dow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To you. Question for Eric. That property she's mentioned, what zone it's on right now?
Currently, it is zoned manufacturing,
Manufacturer.
yes, which would allow for automobile repair by special permit. They have put in a zoning request, or zoning determination form through Mike, the building inspector, and he did confirm that the use in the manufacturing zone will be allowed. However, they also discussed potentially doing some automobile sales, which would not be allowed in manufacturing, but would be allowed in general business.
May I continue? So,
Certainly.
because she put the application already through the building department, and we changed the zone, that should consider as a grandfather before the zoning change?
No,
No,
not
they're,
according to this.
no, so they haven't actually applied for the permits yet. They've
Oh.
done the determination of zoning at this point in time. So they did come and speak with me yesterday in the office, and I did say, you know, when we come here at the public hearing, I think the best thing to do would be to suggest changing those two lots that are circled here to the red, to general commercial. So if I can color badly here with no mouse, something along those lines. And if necessary, you could even do something along those lines to incorporate the what is going to be a church once they submit their final plans for the site plan review, the property that is currently owned by a church. That way we avoid spot zoning, and in some extent neighborhood, the neighborhood is preserved as residential.
It's like spot zoning to me.
George Shenya, Teresa Ave. The part that they want to change to residential from general business, I guess it is? Manufacturing. Can that residential building, the church, be converted into residential housing once it's done, if the church failed? Could that building be turned into multiple family residential housing?
So if it is zoned residential, it could be residential housing. If it is zoned general business, it could also be multifamily housing.
But it would be R2.
If it was R2, it would be two-family.
Two-family.
And if it's general business, it would be multifamily.
Correct.
So by leaving the property as it is today, you have twofold that you would benefit from it. It'd be a general business, so if business wanted to go there. And number two, it could be turned into multiple family housing if housing wanted to do that. So by changing it over to residential, you take any prospect of business away from that neighborhood, correct? Correct. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, I understand the issue with the church. That makes sense, making it one neighborhood. But I do tend to agree with the owners of the property. If they're working on it right now, trying to get the business through, I would want them excluded myself. I wouldn't feel like that's proper. If they're going through the proper protocols right now, I would feel, let's leave that section alone or change it over to general business. Let's not turn it into residential. I would support them going forward with their economic development. It's something we always talk about, and this is a family trying to start a small business. That's what we're here to do. So I wouldn't want to stop that. Thank you.
Very good.
Could I just make one comment?
Councilor Marquetti.
The only comment I want to make is if you do change that area where the church is, then a business would not be able to go in there. A manufacturer would not be able to go in there. That's the only point I wanted to make. Whereas if you left it alone, they could go in there, so.
I think some clarification could be useful with regard to that property. You can have a business run out of a residential zoned property. It just can't be manufacturing. So there, you can have a business in a residential zone. It just can't be manufacturing.
Right.
Mr. Rumsey.
Raise your hand next time.
So, per Table 1 of the zoning bylaw, which is in Section 4, within, if the change is made to general business, as I've kind of badly colored in on the map there, uses that would be allowed either by special permit or by site plan review would be wholesale showroom, storage, warehouse, or distribution facility, or contractor's yard, similar type things. Outdoor storage yard, there's not really property for that. And then going down to the manufacturing uses, by site plan review, processing, packaging, storage, assembly, or treatment of finished or semi-finished products from previously manufactured or processed materials would be allowed by site plan review in the general business zone. They're very similar, the general business and the manufacturing zone, which is why I made the suggestion to go to general business. The only manufacturing type use that is, well, there's two that are not allowed in general business is research, experimental or testing laboratories, and basic processing and manufacturing of materials or products predominantly from extraction or raw materials, which would be like a lithium farm or lithium mine. Excuse me, not farm. That's a terrible term. For example, or a diamond mine, something along those lines, would not be allowed in that.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Steves.
Thank you. Through you to Eric. So by your definition then, would that exclude the marijuana facility that the research lab that's supposed to be in that zone already? That you're changing
Correct.
it to basically make them a pre-existing non-conforming use in that red zone?
We are not, because it's a different, because it falls under marijuana. It's the marijuana uses have their own use category. Actually, Chairman Payer and I were discussing that this afternoon, and I think we're going to make some changes to, or propose some changes to the table to include marijuana uses. Because currently they're not in here, you have to fall back to section 8.6 and 8.7.
Okay.
Because we didn't specify where any of those items could be zoned. So I think we need some clarification. We've had numerous conversations and phone calls with individuals regarding that.
Okay.
So it's something that we're going to be proposing to change in the future.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely needs to be cleaned up. Thanks.
Any other citizens that would like to address the panel? Okay. I think at this point, it's safe to say that the planning board needs to review and come to a final conclusion, at which point then they will send it up to us at council, and we'll go through the readings and make a final decision as well. Any further comment?
Can we make a suggestion, or do you want to just hold off on that? Can we make a suggestion to the planning board, or would you just assume, do you think they pretty much know what we're suggesting here?
I think so.
All right,
I
that's
think so.
fine. All right.
I think so. Okay. Everyone all set? Very good. At this time, I'd like to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Very good. The hearing is closed.